Okay, welcome back. Look what we have here. This just arrived in the post. Pink packaging, so you know what that means. This is the new Nabalis Morse trainer from Nabalis. You can buy it on Amazon if you are in the US. However, if you're in the UK like I am, you cannot. And that's why I'm kind of lucky to have this, because I won it in a giveaway from Brandon from Balisong Flipping, hence the pink packaging. And yeah, this is currently, this isn't being sold in the UK yet, so I'm probably one of the very few who have it this early. And I'm going to do a review on it, because lots of people seem interested in it. The first half of this video is going to be the unboxing and the user experience, so let's get straight into it. Just kidding, it's fake. I've already opened this. That's so I can do this all with one hand. But this is what you'll get. The pink packaging is from Brandon, so that won't be the same. And this is going to be this isn't a straight out the box experience, because this has already been flipped by Balisong Flipping, and so it's already been opened. But it's as close as you can get, I guess, as close as I can get. So it comes in this kind of box, cool little, don't even know what these are, little pattern design, and it just slides open like this. Inside we have an instruction booklet. Let's get a look at this. So this has got instructions, maintenance guide, warranty, things like that. There you go, how to tune it. That's very cool from Nabalis. Not a lot of people include how to tune a balisong. Some stickers, which is from Brandon. That you won't have that if you buy one of these. We have some spare hardware. No bushings though. No spare bushings, which doesn't really matter, because I've heard the tolerances on these are pretty good. But it's sometimes cool to see spare bushings, especially from, I know the one usually includes them. But yeah, spare hardware, washers, pivots, kind of cool to see. We have a Loctite blue. I can get this out with one hand. Thread locker. Pretty standard on most clone balisongs, so this is cool to see from Nabalis as well. A little driver to tighten your screws, and then the knife itself. And wow, I must say this red anodization looks pretty cool. So, specs. This is actually Nabalis's first bushings balisong. It also has Zen pins, which their previous, the Nabalis G10 was washers only, and it had tang pins. So this is a massive improvement in terms of that. The handles are bead blasted 6061 aluminum, and the blade is, I think it was 420C hardened steel. So pretty decent quality materials, and it feels great in terms of quality. This bead blasted finish feels very premium, and the the blade doesn't feel like it's going to bend or anything like that. It feels very solid as a product. Okay, so here's tolerances out of the box. Zero tap. Tiniest amount of play. Maybe a millimeter of play. Here's the sound. And this is completely dry from factory. So I'm going to get it tuned up and we'll test the sound again. Okay, so I took it apart, tuned it up. Listen to that. Sounds great. It's got this kind of muted, like high quality sound to it. Once again, no play at all. No tap at all. Like at all. Nothing. Not even any movement either. Which is great. Now, there was a problem when I came to tune it. Because the tolerances are so thin and perfect, it is impossible to take this thing apart. It took me maybe 25 minutes to half an hour to put it back together again once I'd taken it apart, just because the washers and the bushing sit so tight in the handle that it was honestly an absolute nightmare. And while it gives you these really perfect tolerances, which I don't think are going anywhere, I think this thing's going to stay perfect, it does make tuning it quite a tedious process. But eventually I got it down, I got it back together again, tightened it all up, and it was great. So that's one gripe that I have about this thing. But other than that, user experience has been pretty damn perfect. Honestly, Nabalis has really been impressing me on this one. Ooh, I almost dropped that. So let's get into some flipping, I guess. So, how does it flip? Honestly, this is where it let me down. This balisong has a few problems when it comes to flipping. First off is the balance. It has quite a bit of blade bias. At first I thought it was neutral, but the more I flip it compared to something like my Nautilus clone, I'm starting to think, yeah, it has got a blade bias. And I've asked a few other people, and they have said similar things. A few other people who own one of these, and they've said similar things. They think it has a bit of a blade bias, and this makes things like chaplins, things like rollovers, just a little bit difficult. Fans are great. Fans are really, what do you call it, predictable, and they last a long time if you just let them roll. But this blade bias might be something that would catch out some beginners in learning new tricks. Similarly, it's slippery. Down the end of the handle here, due to a lack of jimping and because they're quite round, or sorry, not round, they're quite square, if you look there. Similar problem with the Mako, it's actually pretty slippery. And so doing tricks down the end of the handle like this, you know, doing, let me think, if you're doing little ladder things, if you're doing choker fans, then it can be really difficult to hold on. Alright, so keep that in mind. If you're someone that prefers a strong handle bias, then you might not be able to flip this, or it might take a little while to get used to flipping something that has a blade bias like this does. And while it hasn't been a bad experience, it's been quite good to flip. I have noticed that on some things like my chaplins, it's caused problems. So that's just something to bear in mind before you buy. As for the design, we have these milled kind of lines kind of like the, I don't know, if I had to say, kind of like the BB bar Firefly, I think it is, or the Barfly, how they have these kind of milled out bits all the way down their handles. It's kind of similar to that. As for the blade, a lot of these Amazon trainers have, they need to have utility tools, so we've got a little bottle opener down here, but also this kind of 3 lines down the blade here. Looks quite interesting, honestly. I didn't think I'd like it at first, but I think it's actually pretty cool. It has a little bite handle indicator. Sorry, not bite handle indicator, bite indicator here, but from flipping it, oh shit, it doesn't work. Sadly, you cannot feel it when flipping, and that's just purely because when you're at that point, the indicator's already in the channel, you know. So if I compare this to my Kraken, let's say, if you look here, it's actually perfectly opposite to how the Kraken is laid out in terms of their bite handle, bite marker. And so if Nabalis was to change this, I would suggest maybe moving that either further out or just flipping it around a bit, because this one you can definitely feel when you're chaplaining on it. Whereas this, you know, you can't tell the difference between the bite and the safe when it comes to chaplaining. So they're the only two things I'd say about the design. Now, Nabalis is a very customer-focused company. They like to hear what their customers have to say, and they have contacted me both in my comment section and on Discord. They joined my Discord server, and I talked to them about, you know, what materials this was made out, so I could get a bit of information about it. But one thing they do is they take on customer feedback a lot, and so I kind of wanted to leave a bit of customer feedback for them, if they were going to make a V2, or when they continue to make these great balisongs for beginners, something that they might work on for next time. So my first thing would be this bite handle indicator. If you just shift it slightly, then, you know, it would be great. That's just one thing that would make the flipping experience just that tiny bit better. Similarly, with the you could add jimping or something down here, something just to make this a little less slippery when working down the end of the knife. If you're, you know, doing little things down the end, it can be quite slippery and kind of difficult to hold on to and keep track of. So either more milling or little jimping down the side on the outside of the handles and on the inside here could really increase the flipping experience. As well, the blade bias that I talked about. You have quite a bit of tip weight here, and maybe, I don't know, honestly I don't know much about how you balance these things out, but if you could, I know, what was it, Chris talked about adding weights in the end, but I understand that's not very feasible on a budget, and it's a good thing to keep these knives as budget as possible for beginners, because what you're doing for the beginner market is amazing, honestly. So maybe taking a bit more material off the end of the blade down here might fix this blade bias and make it a little bit more neutral flipping. So yeah, they're just some small improvements that I can talk about when it comes to this balisong. But honestly, Nabalis is a great company. What they're doing, similar to how the ones making originals now, creating kind of a market for new beginners coming in who don't have a massive budget. This thing's great. And while it is still, what was it, $60 or $70 on Amazon, compared to something like the one's Falcon, which is more like 40 or 50, I'd say this is, honestly, with the quality of materials, might be better. I haven't flipped a Falcon, although I might be looking into flipping one soon, and I'll try and compare these, I guess. But what Nabalis is doing for the beginner market is really important, I think, to try and get people in without buying clones, because the more we can work with clone prices and clone, what do you call it, not materials, but at the similar level to clones, the more we can get people into the hobby without stealing other people's designs. And I think what Nabalis has done here is honestly great. So the big question, do I recommend this over, you know, my Kraken, over my, where's it gone? Over my Nautilus. Now, here's the thing. These are a lot cheaper. These are in the $40 to $50 range. This is in the $60 to $70 range. But this is an original product. Now, it is similar in terms of quality to the Kraken, I think, roughly. And they both flip. This one's got a heavy, so this one's handle bias, this one's blade bias. This one's neutral, so you can leave this one out for a second. So you get very similar flipping experiences, but depending on which side you prefer, handle or a blade bias. Now, which one would I suggest you get of these two? Honestly, it might be the Nabalis. Because while I'm not a huge fan of how it flips, to have an original product at this price point with the quality that this thing has, I don't think you can go wrong. Nabalis is a great company and we need to support them as much as possible because what they're doing is really important. So, do I recommend this? Yes. It's actually pretty good. Now, I personally am not a huge fan of the bias and it would take me a little while to get used to it. But if you're beginning, if you're starting out and you have never flipped anything other than, I don't know, maybe a CCC or something made out of Lego or something you made yourself, this is a great way to start. Nabalis has done a very good job at creating this, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the future. So thank you for watching. I now have a Discord and an Instagram. If you guys want to go check them out, the links for them will be in the description. If you want to see more content similar to this with all the editing, I'll probably be doing something similar for my 500 special where I paint the Nautilus. It's going to be pink and purple, and I'll paint the channels and everything. So everything you see that's gold here will be in their individual colours. So yeah, thanks for watching.